And just before I go, have a look at this exchange between South Australian Senator Alex Antich and representatives from the Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority, otherwise known as ACARA, in a Senate committee hearing last Friday.
The history syllabus teaches that Indigenous Australians would have seen the arrival of the First Fleet in 1788 as an invasion. Was the arrival of the First Fleet an invasion?
What the new organising ideas for the cross-curriculum priority Indigenous Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people does is indicate that if you're looking at different perspectives, you need to try to put yourself in the shoes of those people and interpret or look at those perspectives and try to understand people's reactions to them. So I'm sure that when all ministers signed off on the curriculum on the 1st of April this year, that those matters had been considered by them.
So that's a no?
I'm saying that when all ministers signed off on that at the start of this year in April, those matters would have been considered by them.
So that's a you don't want to answer it?
I'm not. You might have to repeat the question, Minister.
It's not a tough question. Was Australia invaded in 1788? The answer, of course, is no. That answer always was and always will be the correct one. Senator Antich eventually received a different answer, that ACARA, quote, doesn't have a specific view on that matter, unquote. And what is ACARA? Well, it's the organisation that wrote the National School Curriculum. If you've ever wondered why young people are so convinced that Australia is a racist colonial oppressor, you can, in part, thank these people. Australia was, in reality, fortunate to be founded at the tail end of the Enlightenment, when the idea that all men are created equal, all men and women are created equal, and that freedom was the greatest guarantor of happiness and prosperity were taking hold around the world, especially in places lucky enough to be settled or colonised by Europeans. Australia, more than almost any other nation in the world, thrived as a result of these principles being considered fundamental. But lately, our education system has taught generations of kids to think the opposite, that we sought to commit genocide on the Indigenous, which is patently false, and that we have obliterated Indigenous culture, which is also clearly untrue. But that's what your kids learned at school today. And that's why, in a survey held by the Institute of Public Affairs in March this year, only 32% of Australians aged 18 to 24 said they would fight to defend Australia if it were invaded. 28% said they weren't sure, and a massive 40% said they would do a runner at the first whiff of grape shot. Where they would run to, they didn't say.